Hey guys, welcome back. Jeb Smith, Coldwell Banker Residential Brokerage, and doing a little update. If you watch my videos, you know that I do a monthly marketing update to keep you informed of what's going on in the market. This month, we're going to do kind of a mid-month update just to keep you in the loop of what's happening in the real estate world, so that you can make informed decisions as a buyer, as a seller, as an investor going forward. And there's been a lot of reports that have come out recently talking about the market, so I just want to kind of give my 2 cents on what I'm seeing in the Huntington Beach, Orange County market as a whole, and hope that helps you in moving forward. But before we do that, if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do that. That helps me reach more people, for one, but also helps me know what people are watching by liking the video. So if you wouldn't mind, like it, that helps me out and helps me get in front of more people. So, so with regards to the market, where are we at? So we're now mid-November. Traditionally, this time of year is when the market starts to slow because of the holidays, for one, right? So normally our market this time of year, a historical trend is that inventory starts to tighten up a little bit. So we have less property coming on the market, primarily due to the time of year. And then we also have less buyer demand. So less buyers out there looking, also due to the time of year. So is this year any different? The answer is not really. But what we are seeing is there's still a lot of buyers out there looking, and it's because of interest rates, right? There was a recent report done by Lawrence Yun. He's a economist, and he does a lot of reports with regards to National Association of Realtors. And one thing he said is that the buyer demand is still really high. This isn't actual a quote of the verbiage, but verbatim. But basically, what he's saying is that the market is still moving, and it's primarily due to low interest rates. And that's exactly what I'm seeing. So I see a lot of buyers out there still looking for the right property because inventory has been so tight all year long, and there's a lot of people that just haven't found the right property. And as we move into this time of year, you got less people actually you got less people putting their homes on the market, because let's be honest, it's not the best time of the year to put your home on the market unless you have a reason to sell. So if you have to relocate for another job, or you're moving out of the area for a particular reason, or you need to sell financially, whatever the reason is, that's a good reason to sell. But if you're just trying to test the market, right now is probably not the best time, because you have less people out there looking. For one, so you don't have the biggest pool of buyers like you would say in the spring. But keep in mind, there are people looking. So, if you're priced correctly, and you're in that certain wheelhouse, if you will, I would say under $1 million, it's not necessarily a bad time to sell, but it's not the most ideal time. But what I'm getting at is there are still buyers out there looking. So traditionally this year, it would really slow down because buyers wouldn't be in full force out there. But what I'm seeing is I'm still seeing buyers looking for property, making offers on property. Some properties that are in that under $1 million and they're priced correctly are still receiving multiple offers. So as a seller, something to think about, even though it's not the best time of the year. As a seller, right now, you have less competition. So while it might not be necessarily the best time to receive top dollar, it may be a good time just because you have less competition in the market as a whole. And so if you're testing the market, it could be a good opportunity to see if you get an offer on your property. But in theory, unless you have, a dedicated reason to sell, I would tell you to wait till after the first of the year, when things really start to move and pick up. I don't see interest rates really going anywhere. I don't think, the Fed made a comment in their last statement where they lowered the Fed funds rate, basically saying that more or less gave the idea that they're going to pause going forward and not necessarily lower the Fed funds rate going forward. And so with that being said, it's hard to say what's going to happen in the new year, but I don't see them I don't see rates really going up, right? I don't know that the economy as a whole can support a rise in rates at the moment. So I think if anything, they kind of stay where they are right now. And, as we move into the first of the year and get a better idea of where we are in the economy, things may change a little bit with regards to what happens with rates, but everything that I see says that interest rates are going to stay kind of where they are at the moment, which means that buyer demand will stay there. And with inventory being at all-time lows and tightening up as we move into the end of the year, you know, prices aren't going to go anywhere either. There's no reason for prices to pull back at this point. Now, when you have, you know, when you're in the luxury price point, when you're in the $2 to $4 million area and higher, those markets seem to sit a little bit longer. Those have bigger price reductions. So that market's a little softer than, say, the under million market, especially in our area. So depending on where you are will kind of dictate what happens with price. But, you know, as a whole, the market is still moving pretty steadily. It's just a time of the year where things slow down. So don't take this time of the year as an idea that the market is stalled or that the bubble's about to burst or anything like that, because that's not the case. This is a historical trend that happens every year. In fact, the market is as solid now this time of year as it's been in the last probably 4 to 5, in my opinion. I mean, I think things are still selling, property's still moving. So, you know, it's a good time to buy a property, especially when you find the right property. Interest rates are low. You know, as long as you're not considering on, you know, looking for buy a property in it to appreciate some crazy amount in the next 2 years and you're going to sell it, right? If you're going to live in the house for the next, say, 5 to 7, 10 years, now's as good a time as any to purchase just because the money is so cheap on your loan. As rates rise in the future, which they will, even if, you know, prices pull back a little bit, you're going to end up paying more money for that property just because of the rise in interest rates. So now, if you find the right property, now's a good time to buy it. You know, but again, keep in mind there's less inventory out there, right? So as we move into the spring, in theory, more properties come to the market. Buyer demand jumps back up again, and in my opinion, you're probably going to have another 2, 3, 4% appreciation next year. What happens after that, it's hard to say. Next year is an election year, so, you know, depending on what happens with the election could dictate what happens with the market going forward. But, you know, as a whole, nationwide, inventory is very low. Still a lot of people out there looking to buy, and you know, we're still on a solid foundation with regards to, you know, GDP, unemployment, et cetera. So I've mentioned that a couple of times. I know there's a lot of naysayers out there that don't believe that's the case. I'm looking at basically the fundamentals, and that's where, you know, how I'm coming up with my thoughts. But, you know, I do appreciate you taking the time to watch these. You know, if you have comments, put them below. Contact me directly. I'm happy to get back to you. So I appreciate you taking the time to watch, and we'll see you again soon. Have a great day. Bye-bye.